Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The air was heavy with expectancy as Robyn Brown took the witness stand, and the courtroom felt like a pressure cooker. Her eyes were piercing, her stance tight, and her lips squeezed into a thin line that revealed a maelstrom of emotions that were barely contained. Kody Brown was seated at the defendant's table across the room, his usually assured manner now laced with uneasiness. It was a climatic clash that had been years in the making, a result of strained relationships, public scrutiny, and personal betrayals, and the stakes could not have been greater. The gallery was crowded, with people leaning forward and whispering to each other, filling the space with a low hum that seemed like static. The ultimate decision in a case that had captured the public's interest was the moment that everyone had been anticipating. Robyn had had a difficult and drawn-out path to get to this courtroom. She was the fourth woman to join the Brown family, adding to a polygamous dynamic already tense due to conflicting allegiances and unacknowledged grudges. She had initially served as the mediator, resolving disputes with her gentle demeanor. However, cracks started to appear over time. Mary, Janelle, and Christine, Robyn's previous spouses, became suspicious of her power over Kody. They viewed her as the preferred one, the spouse who appeared to listen to Kody in a manner that they were never able to. What started out as a family founded on the principles of harmony and affection for one another started to fall apart as rumors of favoritism and manipulation circulated. Although those were the obvious concerns, the legal battle that led them to this courtroom involved more than simply money and property. It was fundamentally about loyalty, power, and the breakdown of a family that had previously been cited as an example of plural marriage. Robyn had sued Kody on grounds of breach of trust and mismanagement of the family's finances. Although the specifics were unclear, Robyn made the shocking allegations that Kody had misused family funds for personal endeavors, leaving her and her kids in a precarious financial situation. In response, Kody charged Robyn of treachery, claiming that she had planned the lawsuit to discredit him and take over the family's property. With tabloids and reality TV viewers scrutinizing every action, the case had devolved into a public spectacle. The judge's gavel fell as Robyn sat on the witness stand, bringing the room to a halt. The prosecutor, a keen-eyed lady known for deconstructing defenses, walked slowly toward Robyn. "Ms. Brown," she said, breaking the tense atmosphere, "can you tell the court about your relationship with Mr. Brown and how it resulted in this lawsuit?" Robyn's knuckles were whitened as her hands were clenched in her lap. Her gaze strayed briefly to Kody, then back to the prosecutor as she inhaled deeply. With a steady but emotional tone, she started. "When I joined the family, I believed in the vision Kody had for us, a family united, supporting each other, creating a legacy together. But as time went on, I witnessed that vision disintegrate. Kody made choices that jeopardized the future of my children without seeking my input. I was forced to keep them safe." The accusatory tone of the remarks lingered in the air. Kody's jaw tightened as he moved in his chair. In preparation for a counterattack, his lawyer scrawled notes frantically. Robyn was pressed by the prosecutor to provide specific examples of financial malfeasance. She described a string of investments that had depleted the family's joint wealth, including business endeavors, real estate transactions, and loans to unidentified persons. With a little crack in her voice, she stated, "I trusted Kody to act in our best interests. But we have nothing now because he acted alone." Robyn's evidence, which depicted a guy who had forgotten his duties, caused the courtroom to hum. She spoke of late-night fights, emotional outbursts, and an increasing sense of loneliness as Kody turned away from the family's common objectives. Although her comments were restrained, it was clear that she was in pain. She was battling for her children, her dignity, and the life she had once believed in, not simply for money. The mood changed when Kody was given the opportunity to testify. His eyes scanned the room as though seeking supporters, and he strode with an almost forced swagger. His lawyer, an experienced litigator with a talent for showmanship, started by portraying Kody as a visionary under threat. "Mr. Brown," he added loudly, "you have been charged with betraying your family. How do you react?" Kody put his hands on the edge of the stand and leaned forward. His voice was firm but tinged with defiance as he stated, "I've spent my life building something extraordinary. A family that lives by faith and love, defying convention. The facts are distorted by Robyn's charges. She is not a victim. Rather, she is a strategist who is attempting to destroy what we have worked so hard to achieve." The judge slammed the gavel for order as the courtroom erupted in whispers. Kody's deflecting testimony was a masterclass. Although he acknowledged his financial errors, he presented them as audacious gambles made for the family's future. In an attempt to distance himself from Robyn, he portrayed her as a manipulator who had incited the other wives against him. He lowered his voice to almost a whisper and continued, "I trusted her. And she pays me back in this way." Days passed throughout the back and forth, with each party supporting their arguments with witnesses, experts, and supporting documentation. After financial records were examined, a complex network of transactions was discovered that left more questions than answers. In their testimonials, former family members expressed a mixture of bitterness over the breakdown of the family and nostalgia for its early years. Despite not being involved in the case, Mary, Janelle, and Christine were called as witnesses. Their statements were well chosen but laced with subtext. They talked about the stress of living in a family where trust had been damaged, Kody's increasing remoteness, and his unpredictable choices. However, they also hinted at their own issues with Robyn by expressing a hesitancy to fully support her. The pressure was exacerbated by the media hysteria outside the courthouse. Outside, paparazzi set up camp and took pictures of Robyn and Kody as they came and went. Fans of the family's reality show were taking sides, and online forums were ablaze with conjecture. While some saw Robyn as a hero for confronting a patriarchal character, others saw her as a cunning manipulator taking advantage of the family's weaknesses. Trending on X were hashtags like #Robyn vs. Kody and #BrownFamilyFallout, with posts ranging from conspiracy theories to in-depth assessments. The tension in the courtroom was evident as the trial came to a close. Closing arguments from both sides were more emotional than factual. Robyn's lawyer contended that she was a mother defending the future of her children, deceived by a guy who had vowed to keep them safe. Robyn was an opportunist, according to Kody's lawyer, who used the case to change the story of how she contributed to the family's demise. The stern judge, who had overseen the case with unwavering neutrality, deliberated for several days. The room was so quiet that you could hear the slight rustle of papers when the court reassembled to render a decision. Sitting with her hands folded, Robyn's serene exterior belied the turmoil inside her. Kody's eyes were on the judge, and for once he appeared unsure. The decision was shocking. On the main allegations, the judge decided in Robyn's favor, concluding that Kody had in fact violated his fiduciary duties and mishandled family funds. Robyn received damages for the financial devastation she and her children had endured, as well as a sizable share of the family's remaining assets. The judge did not, however, approve Robyn's request for complete authority over the family's corporate companies, stating that there was not enough proof that she could run them on her own. The judge noted that all sides shared some of the blame for the family's financial turmoil, so even though Kody was forced to pay, he was spared the worst punishments. The courtroom roared when the gavel dropped. Kody's allies murmured incredulously, while Robyn's followers rejoiced. Robyn gave herself permission to smile tightly, but her eyes conveyed a different message, one of tiredness and bittersweet triumph. Meanwhile, Kody bounded out, a look of disappointment and rage across his face. It was a chaotic aftermath. Like vultures, the media swooped down and examined every aspect of the decision. Outside the courthouse, Robyn made a succinct statement in a steady but tired voice. "Winning was never the goal," she stated. "It was about holding people accountable and safeguarding my family. I'm hoping that we can all proceed at this point." Unsurprisingly, Kody was less amenable. Through his lawyer, he issued a statement denouncing the judgment as a miscarriage of justice and promising to file an appeal. The decision was both a beginning and an end for the Brown family. The financial bonds that had held them together were formally severed, but it also left scars that would take years to mend. Robyn became a divisive figure who was praised by some and demonized by others. Meanwhile, Kody's once invincible reputation was now tainted, and he faced an uncertain future. The public's curiosity with the case did not appear to be abating as the dust settled. The trial revealed the intricacies of the Brown family's relationship and the vulnerability of their experiment with many marriages. For years to come, people would analyze and discuss this tale of love, treachery, and the terrible price of ambition. The fight for Robyn and Kody's legacies was just getting started, but the courtroom confrontation was done. The courthouse was so charged with tension that it felt like the air itself could shatter, a rare and shocking scene in the Sister Wives universe, as Robyn Brown, often portrayed as Kody Brown's closest and most loyal wife, faced him not as a partner, but as a legal adversary. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but eyewitness accounts and leaked transcripts painted the picture of a jaw-dropping courtroom showdown that completely flipped the public's understanding of their relationship. Robyn, dressed in a sleek navy suit with her hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun, walked in with a binder so thick it could have doubled as a weapon. Across from her, Kody leaned back in his chair in a flashy sport coat, trying to look confident, but the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes was obvious to anyone paying close attention. This wasn't just about money or property. This was about power, truth, and years of carefully maintained narratives unraveling in real time. From the moment the judge called the court to order, Robyn's legal team came out swinging, presenting receipts, bank statements, and text message screenshots that allegedly exposed Kody's hidden bank accounts, off-the-books land deals, and even questionable cash withdrawals tied to the infamous Coyote Pass drama. Gasps rippled through the gallery as Robyn's attorney read aloud a string of late-night messages from Kody that seemed to contradict his televised claims about financial transparency and family unity. At one point, Robyn herself took the stand, her voice steady but eyes blazing, recounting in painstaking detail how she said she was manipulated into signing documents she didn't fully understand, contracts that transferred property rights and liquidated assets in Kody's favor, while leaving her financially exposed. Kody's face turned crimson as she described feeling cornered and trapped, hinting that his charm on TV masked a ruthless behind-the-scenes negotiator who prioritized his own comfort over the security of the family. The tension escalated when Kody's attorney tried to dismiss Robyn's claims as emotional exaggerations, prompting her to whip out a notarized affidavit signed by a former family friend who had witnessed one of the alleged coercive conversations. By midday, the courtroom had become a stage for a public unmasking, with Robyn, once cast as Kody's staunchest defender, now dismantling his credibility piece by piece. The final blow came when the judge read the verdict, a decisive ruling in Robyn's favor, granting her a substantial financial settlement, partial control of disputed assets, and, perhaps most damaging for Kody, the legal right to publicly disclose certain previously sealed details about their financial history. As the gavel came down, Robyn didn't celebrate with a smile. She simply closed her binder, stood up, and walked out with quiet dignity, while Kody remained frozen in his chair, the weight of both the verdict and the public fallout settling heavily on his shoulders. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, and although Robyn kept her lips sealed, the glint in her eyes said everything. This was more than a legal win. It was a public reclamation of her voice, her autonomy, and her truth. For fans of Sister Wives, this was nothing short of historic. The woman once accused of being Kody's favorite had just proven she could also be his fiercest opponent. And as whispers spread about what Robyn might reveal next now that the gag order had been lifted, one thing became clear. The Brown family's drama had entered an entirely new and far more explosive chapter.